When I made that Coca-Cola Be Less White video, I was really trying to make the point that this list you see is not exclusive to white people. It's something a lot of individuals who aren't white do and need to stop doing. It's more so something that humanity needs to stop being less stupid. But for some reason, that didn't hold weight. That didn't track with people. Because for some reason, all of those things are only exclusive to white people because a black individual has never done any of these things because they're socially incapable of doing that because they don't have the power of white supremacy and privilege to not listen to somebody. But for some reason, Google decided to come up with their own racial white supremacy, white people, you need to understand that you're the problem lesson. And I could pick through the entire thing, but I'm really interested in this pyramid of overt white supremacy and covert white supremacy screams to me a lot. And it screams to me what it means to live in a certain bubble that allows you to say anything and people will just go with it just so that you don't call them a bad thing. First, we got the socially unacceptable, which I don't think anyone would sit here and agree that lynching, hate crimes, blackface, the N-word, swastikas, neo-Nazis, burning crosses, racist jokes, and racial slurs, and the KKK are something acceptable. We can all sit here and acknowledge that all of those things, no ifs, no ands, no buts, are bad. Clear cut, point blank, period. Right? Cool. But when we get to the covert white supremacy or things that are socially acceptable, I'm losing track on how I'm supposed to just agree with a few of these things. Starting with the first one, calling the police on black people. Apparently, that's something that's socially acceptable and a problem. Now, I don't know about you, but if anyone, regardless if they were black, white, man, woman, Asian, transgender, bisexual, gay, and I'm seeing you do something illegal, especially to me or my property, I'm going to call the police. This should not be an issue. I would think that if you see someone vandalizing some property that is yours or robbing a store, robbing a bank, no matter the skin color, you should be calling them out, right? You should be calling the police on them, right? If somebody was attacking an individual or doing something non-consensual, you would call the police on them, right? You would hope that justice would fall upon them, right? What's the problem with that? Why is that something that is socially acceptable or covert white supremacy? I don't really understand that, especially since I did a video on that Korean lady who got robbed by black people and was told she can't call the police on anybody because that's racist. That's a problem. The next one I really got a problem with is white silence. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but individuals all last year were essentially guilt tripping their white friends to speak on anything relating to Black Lives Matter. If you're white and you're not speaking up, I hear your silence. Oh, my white friends, don't associate with me anymore because you're not speaking up about this. You're not speaking up about the injustices that people are facing in current society. So you are the problem with what's wrong, and you are using your privilege to stay silent about things that affect me as a black person. Meanwhile, none of you individuals are speaking about Sasha Johnson. I would really like for any of you to speak about Sasha Johnson. Please, Black Lives Matter. She's a black woman, the most disrespected group on planet Earth. Help her. And it's just weird seeing how the guilt trip is somehow socially acceptable or a form of covert white supremacy. Next one I really got an issue with is you don't sound black. I don't know how I'm supposed to sound. Of course, I'm the sexiest black man on YouTube, but I don't know how to sound black. I only know how to sound like me. And if I sound like your dad or some librarian or someone who needs to start doing ASMR, I don't really know because it's just me. It's just my voice. I grew up with it. I own it. Puberty hit me like a brick and it only hit me in the voice, hit me nowhere else. And so I'm just sitting here wondering, how is this covert white supremacy? The bootstrap theory. Now, anyone could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe the bootstrap theory is picking yourself up by the bootstraps and being able to go get something. I'm pretty sure there's more to that. I will sit here and be glad that I'm wrong if that's the case, but how is the bootstrap theory covert white supremacy. If you're somebody who's down on your luck and you want to pick yourself up and try to go get something, what's the issue? What form of supremacy could that possibly be? What form of evil whiteness is symptom from that? I don't know what symptom is, but I'm gonna sit here and go with it because symptoms are something that's important in the medical field. I'm not a doctor. BIPOC as Halloween costumes. Now this one is iffy for me because you got all these different people making these Japanese characters black. You got the race swaps of all these iconic white characters turning black because they care about racial justice and making sure that everyone's equal. Meanwhile, they don't want to make an original black character or pick up any of these black superheroes that are already established and make them into a movie. They just want to make something a race swap. But BIPOCs as Halloween costumes, I really don't even see is an issue. You're telling me little white kid Jimmy can't dress up as his favorite superhero, Black Panther? Are you telling me that little Johnny can't dress up in a Miles Morales costume? Are you telling me little Susan can't dress up as whatever black character you can find as Static Shock if she wants to? Why is it a problem if someone dresses up for about 2 hours and goes around their neighborhoods saying trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat? Assuming good intentions are enough. Now, I don't know about any of you, but if somebody was to see me having a bad day and they just pat me on the back and they give me a nice little compliment, or they say I'm doing a good job, or anything that's actually genuine and sincere, I would look at that as a little good thing. Sure, they cannot change my life in an instant. Sure, they didn't see me sitting there jerking off with my cocoa melon lotion and gift me $1 million, but it's nice to see that people can acknowledge someone going through a bad day and give them a little compliment. I'm not expecting someone to throw their entire bank account at me. I'm not expecting someone to get on all fours and say, ooh, woo, you black king, I'm so sorry to you. I'm not expecting anyone I don't know to give me anything other than good intentions. And guess what? Good intentions in some cases are enough. I can understand someone going through a real rough patch and having someone think that, oh, well, I was nice to you, or I didn't do this thing to you, so obviously my good deed is enough to succeed. Let me pat myself on the wrist and go about my day. Because yeah, some people think that they're high and mighty, but understanding that and really going through it and assuming that that is covert white supremacy, I just not really sure. But I could go through this entire thing. Some of these I agree with. Some of them I actually will sit here and say are a problem and need to be addressed. Some of them I can say everyone needs to actually sit down and understand. But I really want to end the video on this one note. All lives matter. Say what you want, but at the end of the day, everybody got a value in life. Everybody's life matters. If you're gonna sit here and make the excuse that, oh, well, how could they matter if they're not talking about this group suffering or this group suffering or this group suffering because of this thing? Okay, cool. How come you aren't standing up for a life that was unjustly taken or wounded that didn't go with your narrative? How come you aren't speaking up about a life that was taken away that doesn't fit what you're talking about on Twitter? How come you're not addressing something that doesn't go with what your talking points are and still fighting for it because that's a life that matters? How is it we go about this game of picking and choosing when we want to be virtuous, but we never hold the same weight if the thing doesn't go with the narrative? And I don't really see, nor will I agree with, saying all lives matter is something that's covert white supremacy. Because whether you like it or not, a lot of you that like to say it's a problem won't address this situation. Subscribe to the channel, your daily professor on what it means to be a bad human being. Professor, doctor, therapist, camp counselor, cafeteria lady that you want to have intercourse with, Leon is out.